there. Today we're going to be ranking the Santana classic era albums, which roughly runs between 70 and 77, after which their music became a lot more radio friendly. But to be honest, every one of these albums are excellent. There's not a bad album in this mix. So let's get started. First one, Festival. That's the newest album on here. It's a period right after they was in their jazz phase. It's the second album after they went back to kind of the more rocky and a little bit soul sound. But it's still got a lot of experimentation. It's a very, very good album. I don't think there was any radio hits or anything on it, but it has pretty much all the stuff you expect from a Santana album. The next one, Santana, actually it's the second album that they called Santana, but most people call it Santana 3. Yeah, this came out right after Abraxas, and it's a great album, but after Abraxas it might have been a little bit of a letdown. It actually is a bit more, it's a bit harder than either of the first two albums, and this is just before they went into their jazz fusion phase. Again, I don't think there's any hits on here per se. My next one is Moonflower. This is also pretty late in that period. And it's a live album with about half of the track studio. So I am including it even though it's considered a live album, because it does have a lot of studio tracks. The live stuff was probably not quite as recorded as well as it could have been, but they were pretty much on fire with this. This is a really, really good album. And the studio tracks, they're no slouches either. And it is a double album. This is Amigos. This is the very first one after their jazz fusion phase. They wanted to do a little more back to their roots and have a more of a rock and roll sound, or a rock sound. And there was a pretty good amount of soul in here. The gem on this one is Dance Sister Dance. It is a really, really good album. And pretty cool label on it. The label on one side has this rainbow picture, and on the other side, this picture of like a jaguar. Yeah, it's a pretty excellent album. I like the artwork too. The next one is called Santana. It's their first album. So they had, like I said, they had two albums called Santana. This one has Evil Ways on it. They started off right up with their long instrumental passages and mixed with some vocals, and they had their distinct Santana sound right from the beginning. Really, really good album. This one, Welcome. Now this was like right in the middle of their jazz fusion phase when Santana was into the religion that Sarichimoy, I guess that's how you say it. And so there was a lot of experimentation, a lot of instrumental stuff. And if you look at the album close, you can probably see that the name Welcome is actually embossed in there. All these albums from this jazz fusion phase are excellent. The next one, Borboleta. Borboleta is the last one of the jazz fusion phase. It's got a lot of sound effects in it, and like this one and the other one from the jazz fusion phase both have like a pretty cool climax with a lot of guitar soloing. And they both started, like I said, they start out with sound effects, and it's actually a little while before you even hear. There's not but about 4 or 5 actual vocal songs on this. Most of it's instrumental, but it really is good. And this is the big one. The one with Black Magic Woman, Santana Braxis, Black Magic Woman, and how do you say it? Oi Como Va. This is excellent from start to finish. There's not a slow track on this thing, or not a bad track on this thing. This is a fantastic album. Again, excellent artwork too. And my number one, which is probably a little different than most people's, is Caravanserai, the first one from their jazz fusion period. Like Borboleta, this has got several tracks, instrumental tracks before the songs start coming in, and I think there's only about 4 songs on this one. And it has a excellent guitar soloing long instrumental track towards the end. These are like the cream of the crop. They are really, really good. And this is my favorite Santana album. Now I have a little bonus here. Those albums I've been discussing were Santana as a band, but Santana did some other albums that were during this period that were like with somebody else or a solo album. And I'm going to rank, there's only 3 for that period. I'm going to rank them. And the first one is a copy I don't have now. I've had it, but I don't have it. It's called The Swing of Delight, which was a double album. It's completely instrumental, and it has Wayne Shorter on it. So it's definitely worth checking out. And this next one, with John McLaughlin, Love, Devotion, and Surrender. This is great stuff. This is really great stuff. This version of it on the CD has a couple of bonus tracks. Lots of long instrumental stuff on it. It is excellent. It has everything you'd want from a Santana album. Well worth having. And this last one, my favorite one, is a little bit different. This is with Santana with Alice Coltrane. It's also completely instrumental except for a little, about a minute long chant at the very beginning. It's got harps and orchestration and different things in it. There's a couple parts of it that are kind of has some of that sharp sax that some people necessarily might not like in jazz. But overall, this is an excellent, excellent album. It might remind you a little bit of John Coltrane or Miles Davis in parts, but it's got Santana's guitar solos and stuff in it. But it is definitely different than the regular Santana albums. And that's it. This is a pretty short video. Yeah, if you're wondering about the background, this is actually the same room. It's just cameras facing a different way. I'll show you. So that's this video. This was a short one. I'll try. It's been a while since I made a video, so I'll try and make them a little more frequent. But if you like it, give us a like and share it or whatever. I really appreciate it. And thanks for watching.